A rat sits trapped inside a clear plastic tube, motionless except for quick shallow breaths. A second rat, free in the same cage, paces the outside of the tube, sniffing at the seam. Then it starts pushing. Nudge, pause, nudge again. Until, several sessions later, the door falls open and the trapped rat scrambles out. Nobody trained it to do that. Nobody rewarded it for doing that. So why did it bother? That's the actual question sitting underneath the word empathy. But does one animal notice another animal's distress? But does that distress motivate real, costly, targeted action to end it? Emotional contagion, catching a mood, catching a fear, is common across the animal kingdom and doesn't require any of that. A chick trapped in a puddle can trigger startled clucking in the whole flock without a single other chick doing anything to help. Real empathy, the kind this video is chasing, needs more. An animal has to act, specifically, to relieve someone else's distress, sometimes at a cost to itself. Start with that rat. In a series of experiments at the University of Chicago, researchers placed a free rat in an arena with a cagemate trapped inside a clear, hinged restrainer. Within about a week of daily sessions, the free rat learned to open the door on its own and let its cagemate out. It didn't open empty restrainers. It didn't open restrainers holding a stuffed toy. And when researchers rigged the setup so the trapped rat escaped into a separate compartment the instant the door opened, removing any chance of a reunion, the free rat kept opening the door anyway. Then the researchers raised the stakes. They gave the free rat 2 restrainers at once, one holding its distressed cagemate, the other holding a small pile of chocolate chips, a rat delicacy. The free rat opened both, at almost exactly the same rate, and more than half the time. Once it had freed its cagemate, it didn't eat all the chocolate itself. It left some for the rat it had just rescued. If a rat can do that, a nearly 3-ton animal with a brain more than 20 times the size of ours has plenty of room to as well. At an elephant camp in northern Thailand, researchers spent close to a year recording what happened whenever one of 26 elephants showed sudden signs of distress. A roar, a trumpet, a bristled tail. Nearby elephants didn't just react to the noise. They moved in. They wrapped their trunks around the distressed elephant's face. They made soft chirping sounds. They stood body to body, physically bracing against the other elephant, in a pattern the researchers said looked remarkably like a human embrace. This kind of directed comfort, physical contact aimed specifically at calming someone else down, is called consolation. And before this study, it had only been documented in a small handful of species: great apes, dogs, and a few corvids. Chimpanzees, in fact, are where the whole idea of consolation started. In the late 1970s, at a large semi-free colony at the Arnhem Zoo, researchers began cataloging exactly what chimpanzees did after a fight. The former opponents themselves often came back together within minutes, kissing or holding out a hand, a pattern the researchers called reconciliation. But something else was happening too. Chimps who'd had nothing to do with the fight would approach whichever animal had lost and embrace it. That directed, third-party comfort is what earned the name consolation in the first place, the very word this entire video has been built around. Which brings the story to something much smaller than a chimpanzee, or an elephant, or even a rat. A small, monogamous field rodent called the prairie vole. Researchers separated bonded pairs of voles, gave one of the pair a series of mild, unpleasant shocks, then reunited them. The unshocked partner didn't just notice something was wrong. It groomed its stressed partner sooner, and for far longer, than pairs where neither vole had been shocked, but only if the 2 voles actually knew each other. Strangers got no such comfort, and the unshocked vole's own stress hormones rose to match its partner's, as if some part of its body was living through the same bad afternoon. That grooming response ran through a small brain region called the anterior cingulate cortex, and it depended entirely on oxytocin. The same hormone tied to bonding and trust in humans bereaved that oxytocin, just in that one small region, and the consoling stopped completely. The vole could still see its partner was stressed. It simply stopped caring enough to do anything about it. None of these 4 cases prove animals feel exactly what a human feels watching a loved one suffer. Critics point out that helping a distressed cagemate could still be self-interested, ending in unpleasant noise, restoring a valued social partner, nothing more. And the vole's own stress response rising to match its partner's could be read as pure biological mirroring, with no directed concern required at all. But look at what keeps showing up across every one of these cases. The help is targeted, not generic. It's costly, not free. And in the voles, at least, it's selective. Grooming a known partner, ignoring an identical stranger in identical distress. A purely selfish, noise-canceling reflex wouldn't need to check who's making the noise. Whatever moved that rat to open the door, instinct, learned association, or something closer to what we'd call caring. It clearly knew the difference between a friend in trouble and a locked box worth ignoring. Back in that first lab cage, the newly freed rat sits beside the empty restrainer, next to the half-eaten pile of chocolate its cagemate left for it. Whatever moved that rat to open the door, instinct, learned association, or something closer to what we'd call caring, it clearly knew the difference between a friend in trouble and a locked box worth ignoring. Maybe for the rat, there was never much difference between the two. Somewhere between the door pushed open, the trunk wrapped around a face, the third-party embrace, and the careful grooming, is one very old, very simple question. What does it take to care about suffering that isn't yours? Nobody has a clean answer, human or otherwise. But somewhere right now, a rat is nudging open a door, an elephant is wrapping its trunk around a trembling face, a chimpanzee is holding a former rival close, and a vole is deciding, quietly, whether the stressed body beside it is one it recognizes. That's not nothing. Whatever it is, some part of every one of these animals is already reaching carefully toward a hurt that isn't its own. A friend in trouble, not a locked box. Some part of it already knows the difference. And, somewhere close by, the freed cagemate leans in and shares what's left of the chocolate.